Here another thing, not very much related to the subject we are discussing. I mean, as far as the artha of this loka is concerned, but it is very much related to our subject. See, Rashtra and Rajya, both the words are used in this sloka. Rashtra will be over, Rajya also will be over by this Visha, this poisonous, dangerous narrative war. It has been discussed way back in our society very much before. A modern English literary figure was a recipient of Booker Prize, a Nigerian writer, English writer, Ben Okri. Recently, some years back, he was invited to a lit fest, which is very much notorious in creating anti-national narrative in Rajasthan, to be more specific, Jaipur. In Jaipur Lit Fest, the organizers thought about a black man getting Booker Prize, and he may speak something against this dictatorial rule of Bharat. So they invited him for that Lit Fest. But with the first sentence itself, Ben Okri demolished their expectations. He said that you taught me how to write. By reading and understanding Mahabharata and Panchatantra, I came to know the science and technique of writing. Your culture and your tradition is full of stories, full of narratives. ऐसा उन्होंने बताया. Maybe because of that, this part is not that much, what you say, factually correct or not, I am not that sure. After that program, just like the old people were being taken to the polling booth on the election day, see, election is coming also, if they are over 70 or 80, they will not be taken back to their houses, because the politicians know very much about that this man or women will not remain in the next election. So what is the purpose of taking back into the house? They may be taken to the polling booth, but in the same way, Ben Okri is not that old, but the organizers found it was very much counterproductive that Ben Okri has spoken in that way, that the Hindus taught me how to write. Anyway, he came back alone to Delhi. There he addressed a journalist press meet. In that meet, one of the journalists asked him a question. That's, you are from Africa, Nigeria, and you are a literary figure and well versed in history, story of nations. What do you feel? Any similarities in between our position and your position? Especially colonial rule was there also, colonial rule was here also. So what is the comparison? What are the similarities? He repeated one of his quotations before that press conference. I would like to repeat in that quotation, I quote, to poison a nation, poison its stories. That means poison its narratives. A demoralized nation tells demoralized stories to itself. It's a very dangerous situation. See, through poisoned stories, that nation will become demoralized. And the demoralized nation will start telling the demoralized stories to itself. Beware of the storytellers. Beware of the narrative creators. Story means narrative. Beware of the storytellers who are not fully conscious of the importance of their gifts and who are irresponsible in the application of their art. So we have to be very careful about the storytellers or the narrative makers. They are not conscious and they are not responsible about their gifts. They have got a valuable gift to tell stories, make narratives. If they are poisoning it, the nation will be poisoned, and the poisoned nation will become demoralized, and that demoralized nation will start telling the same demoralized story to itself. He didn't end there. The final sentence is most important. They could unwittingly help along the psychic destruction of their people. Unquote. See, it will lead to the psychic destruction of the nation, of the people, of the society. So these narratives, the false narratives or poisonous narratives or vicious narratives or dangerous narratives will kill a nation, will kill a Rajya, will kill Raja. Everything will be destroyed. That has happened in our country, I feel. Okri was saying, or he was indicating towards the plight of Bharatiya. It is correct also. It is happening to you also. False narrative is killing you and it will lead to the ultimate psychic destruction of the nation. See, in this quotation, Banokri was saying that the poisoned nation will become demoralized, and demoralized nation will start telling same story to itself, hypnotism. See, we are talking those stories made by the colonizers in order to belittle us, in order to divide us, in order to weaken us. They have created so many stories, and we are just repeating it now also. For example, a minor example, we have studied in the history classes or political science classes about Aryan invasion. Aryans defeated the Dravidians, and then again they have done some sort of research and came out with the conclusion that Dravidians are also not the original inhabitants of Bharat. They were tribals, and they were defeated and pushed them into the forest, and those Dravidians were killed or defeated by Aryans, and Aryans are ruling now in Bharat. Are we not still repeating in our classrooms the same old narrative? We are repeating it, created by Max Muller, created by Father Caldwell, through their strange linguistic ideas, strange linguistic family concept. They have created such a narrative in order to defeat our nation, and now we are repeating it. So it's very correct as far as our situation is concerned. So when we are going deep into the dangerous narratives, what all are they? I don't want to explain much. A bit Telugu I understood from Giridharji's speech also, that I am not supposed to speak everything about this dangerous narratives. I will just give you some examples. See, as we are all related to a nationalist organization, many of you are related to a nationalist organization, Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangha or related organization. Our history, when you are analyzing our history or Sangha history, right from 1925, in the first phase, we are concentrated on the strengthening of the organization, creating true man-making, and the organizational strength was the main focus point in the first at least 2 decades. After that, we decided to stretch out, reach out the society. All the geographical area is to be touched. Sarvasparshi and all caste or tribal or whatever it may, all groups are to be touched. So Sarvasparshi and Sarvagrahi movement was the second phase. And later on, now we have decided to reach out to society with 5 specific purposes. As I knew many of our Karyakartas are here, that's why I am saying why this narrative war is also part of that. Okay. So we have decided that the society is to be transformed. Sangha has developed. Not a single nook and corner is remaining without Sangha. Every Jilla has got Sangha, every block, development block has been reached. But now it is our time to make each and every family value-based. Mulyadharit Parivar. And second phase, second point, we have to make our society harmonious. Samarasata Yukta Samaj. And third, We have to make our life Paryavaran Kendrit, an environment centric life. We cannot live without environment. We cannot live without nurturing the environment. That's the third thing. Fourth thing, our life, our economic outlook, our consumption, everything will be on the basis of Swadeshi concept. So four things I have mentioned. And fifth one is every one of us, that means Nagarik. That word I have got a very huge reservation regarding that citizen or Nagarik term. Why I am saying so? See, in Western nations, city was the center. As far as Bharat is concerned, the city was not at all the center. We have got at least 3-layered living system. City, yes, cities were there, villages, and forest or mountain. This Tristariya living mechanism was here. And all were equal. In Ramayana, you please go through Ramayana. In Mahabharata, how Rama treated Kevat Raja or Guha. How Rama treated Shabari Mata. There was no difference at all. Yes, some are living in forest, that's all. On and often they used to come in the cities also. And our nation, our Rashtra was developed on the basis of a healthy dialogue in between all these three groups or two groups. City groups and the so-called backward lobe. So-called. Forest dwellers and city dwellers both came together and through a healthy discussion, the nation was created. Muni Rishis developed this nation by sitting there in deep forest, engaged in a deep penance in their tapasya. Bhadramichanda rishaya survida tapo diksham upaseduragre tato rashtram belamojascha jadam tadasmai devam upasannamantu. Those rishis were engaged in the tapasya not for their personal benefit, not for their family's benefit alone. They were doing their tapasya for the welfare of the whole humanity, the whole world, the whole universe. Survida. In many of our slokas, you found that Sanskrit term, Survida, for all. Not a secluded class, not for the welfare of my relatives alone, or my wife and my children, or my home. Survida, Sakal. Where they have conducted that tapasya? In deep forests. And that idea has been taken over by both city dwellers and the village dwellers or forest dwellers. That's why I said that that particular value, that particular ideology, philosophy has been taken and propagated, practiced in their life by both these groups. So at the end, both these groups were engaged in the Rashtra Nirman, the nation making, as far as Bharat is concerned. But that was not the case of the nation-state concept of the Westerners. It was solely responsible by the so-called civilized, so-called progressive, so-called educated city dwellers. They are the sole representatives and adhikaris of Rashtras, their nations. Rashtra Rajyas. That's why the concept citizens, those who were living in the cities, were the sole responsible persons for creating Rashtras. So they have created such a name, and we have translated it into Hindi, and we got the name Nagarika. So I don't want to repeat that term. So I want to tell before you the fifth point which Sangha has constantly hammering upon, that is the Rashtranga. Hum sab Rashtranga hai. We are all Rashtranga. We are the members or the organs, avayavas of the Rashtra. So in Sangha Prarthana also we used to repeat Rashtranga Bhuta. We are not saying that Nagarika. As Nagarika, please Parameshwara, please give me so and so. We are Rashtranga. So as Rashtranga, we have got some responsibilities. That's also right from the Swachhata Abhiyan to Atmanirbhar Samaj. Each person must think about their kartavya. kartavya or responsibility. These are the 5 points. So next point is, which Sangha is putting before us, or the whole nationalist movement is asking us to do, is there shall not be a single issue raised against our nationality, our culture, our tradition, our customary practices, our scientific knowledge system shall not remain unanswered, unsolved. There shall not be any single question. All the Bharatiyas must be that strong, they must be that equipped to answer it and solve the question, solve the problems. We shall not just sit idly and let it happen. What is going to happen to our Sanatana? The name itself is saying that no Nasha will come. Anashwara, Sanatana. So it is not necessary for me to work anything. Every person has got the responsibility to solve the problems which are rising. We shall not look towards, what is Amaravati, or to Hyderabad, or to Delhi for solutions. We have to find out the solutions from our level. So, in that point, Sangha is saying that every person will come forward, single, personally or organizationally, Vyashtigata or Samashtigata. They will come forward and solve the problems. And in that problems, yes, material problems are there, physical problems are there. Along with that, the huge problem which we have started discussing about, that mantra viplava, that's also a samasya. That's also an issue which is being raised against us. So that is to be addressed, the narrative which are being created by some people against us. While we are trying to address it, we must know that these narratives were not created on a fine morning. In that way, we must understand that we cannot solve it within an hour also. How these narratives are created? So we have to go back to 1,000 years, at least 1,000 years of our history. 1,000 years. First of all, before 1,000 years also, there were so many invaders. Greek, Huna, Shaka, Kushana, they all came. After that also some splinter groups attacked Bharat. But nothing happened to Bharat's life, Bharat's culture. We were that strong to assimilate them, not only defeated them. We made them as a part of ourselves. Many intellectuals have found out it, and they have stated it also clearly in their analysis about the attacks happened in Bharat. None other than Karl Marx. I would like to quote Karl Marx about the attacks happened in Bharat, what happened to the attackers. Karl Marx, while writing the history of 1857 war, sitting on the easy chair or lazy chair in front of the English library, Karl Marx is also such a person who never reached Bharat, but he wrote a lot about Bharat. But in this context, in this particular sentence, he really correctly analyzed the situation of Bharat. In that matter, he expressed an intellectual honesty. In that book, he said, I am quoting Bharavati, Arabs, Tartars, Turks, Afghans who successfully overran India were soon Hinduized according to the eternal law of history. Unquote. See, what did he say? Those who attacked Bharat, they were culturally backward. At that point of time, Karl Marx was saying that those attackers were culturally backward barbaras. He used barbarians. But because of their physical strength, they might have succeeded in particular point of time. A given time, they might have succeeded. They might have established their government in some places. But for history, in history, there is an eternal law. And that eternal law says that no matter whether ruler or ruled, the better culture will prevail. That is the eternal law of history. Karl Marx is saying, according to the eternal law of history, they were all soon Hinduized. Unquote. But this strange thing is that Progress publishers have published that book, English book. You will get that book. In that Hinduized word, maybe because Hindu Shabda is not an English word, it is a Bharatiya word, it is being given in a italics. So everyone's eye will be go to that particular word. In the dangerous narrative list, this point will also come. That's why I am coming to the translation of that particular book. I would like to draw your attention to the translation of that book. That book was translated by the great intellectual of communists, that is E.M.S. Namboodiripad. He is being considered as the Buddhi Rakshasa of communists. I don't consider him as Buddhi Rakshasa. He is a Rakshasa Buddhi. So he translated it. Why I am saying he was a Rakshasa Buddhi? Main reason was this translation. He is a very expert English expert and Malayalam. He wrote everything. But while he reached this Hinduized italics word, he stuck up there for days, weeks. He was not able to find out a proper word. If he write the proper translation of Hinduized, that is sure. In Malayalam, it was translated in Malayalam. In Malayalam, Hinduized, किसी भी 10वीं कक्षा के बच्चे को बताए तो भी वो बताएंगे हैंदववल्करिकपट्टु, हैंदववल्करिकपट्टु. I am saying the basic, those who are literature professors will understand it better than me, that a translation, which translation is apt? If the translated word is being retranslated to the original word, you must get or you must rebound to the original word. Haindava Valkarikapattu, if he would have used that word, that's a best translation. Why? Haindava Valkarikapattu, Malayalam word, when being translated back into English, no question, we will get Hinduized. But do you know this gentleman, how it was translated? He translated India Valkarikapattu. And we haven't got any complaint about that. But his vengeance towards, antagonistic approach towards Hindu word. So he used an English word for Karl Marx has used the Bharatiya word. But when it is being translated, he must use that word India Valkarikapattu. If you translate back it, you will not get Hinduized, it will Indianized. So he is good with India, but we haven't got any complaint because we are thinking that Hindu, India, Bharat are all okay, all same. That's our thought. Anyway, so this is the way in which Karl Marx and other thinkers saw how the attacks took place. At that period of time, in the preliminary period, in the previous period, we are that strong. Our digestive power was that strong that the attackers were assimilated to our Rashtra body, Rashtra Sharira. That was a strength. But that was not the case when the Mughals came. As and when the Mughals or immediate, forerunners of Mughals, they have attacked our societal institutions, our habits, our festivals. Do you know? Because of the Islamic attacks, many a times our Kumbh Mela is not, we cannot postpone it or prepone it, but many a times Kumbh Mela was also made a focal point, attacking point, and we were forced to stop Kumbh Mela celebration in a big way. Many societal habits were changed in the Hindu society, especially in the north. Thanks to Kakatiya Empire, thanks to Vijayanagara Samrajya, thanks to Maratha Samrajya, South was bit saved from, at least Kerala, Tamil Nadu was saved from the Islamic attacks. Because of these strong forces who built a strong Durga. So they stopped. But in the north, it was affected. Till now, you can see the remnants of those attacks, Islamic attacks. In order to save ourselves, we readjusted. That's our strength also. This Parda Parambara, why Hindus are also following in Rajasthan, Ghungat. Why following that Parambara of Islamic girl women? Because to save themselves from the attacks and the Najariya, their gaze bachane ke liye. We have adjusted. And also you may be knowing, I don't know, here in Mahendravaram, Rajamandri mein, marriage time, what is the time, generally marriage time? Daytime or night?
Night time.
Night time. How it happened? Was Shiva married Parvati in the night?
Night.
Was Rama married Sita in night? Whether Pandavas married Panchali in the night? Bharat was not done on the daytime. It was in the daytime only. That's why in Veda also, when a marriage is over, when the bride is coming to the reaching the house of bridegroom, the father-in-law and the relatives, they will take this girl to the courtyard or on the road in front of the house. There is a custom that's being said by the experts. I am not a Vedic scholar. I am talking this matter to people who are from Rajamahendravaram. Anyway, but there is a custom that the father-in-law is showing her, come, let all people come and see this Rani's, this Chakravartini's face. What does it mean? No matter. उस समय पर्दा नहीं था मेरे महिलाओं को. दूसरा, they are ready to show the face. They are not at all afraid of showing their beautiful face to others. Third, अगर देखना है तो रात में कैसा हो सकता है? That was in the daytime. So we have readjusted ourselves. Because of the Islamic attacks, because the marriage party, Bharat and everything is a soft target for them. As far as the Islamic invaders are concerned, two matter very much influenced to them. They were tempted to attack. One is Mahila and second is Sona, gold. Every marriage is a show of strength of gold and beauty. So it will become a soft target for them. Our forefathers found out a way out and they decided to conduct the marriages to be done. So marriage can be done in a secret way or a private way in the night, in the darkness. Nowadays, that arrangement itself has become a big burden for the families to conduct marriages because the expense has increased. At that time, expense was reduced. Anyway, these type of readjustments are made by our society at that point of time. It shows that Islamic attacks have targeted the societal institutions, educational institutions, our study centers, our ashrama, of course our customs also. But they never entered into a planned scientific narrative building exercise. They are joining the narrative exercise nowadays. But at that time, they never tried for that. Anyway, in a big way. But later on, when the Westerners came, especially the English people came, they knew that their physical strength is much lesser than Bharatiya strength. And the vastness of this nation and the commitment of the people towards this national culture and values and civilizational ethos, it is to be destroyed. Otherwise, they cannot survive. They cannot continue their rule. So they started a long tapasya. I would call it also a tapasya. The Westerners who created this narrative, this dangerous, poisonous narratives, they have done it through a long tapasya. When they came, they started studying Bharat at least. Say, when we are talking about countering the false narrative, we also have to learn what all are these narratives. In the same way, they started studying Bharat physically, mentally, intellectually. They have studied it. For that purpose, they have started Survey of India to study Bharat physically. Several types of survey of India were started in the later half of 18th century. Survey of India was started in 1767, you know. And later on, they have started a mission type work under the leadership of William Jones, that is known as Asiatic Society. It was started in Kolkata. The space, the place, the venue is also very significant. Can you just imagine that one of the organizations which were started against Bharat or the society inside Supreme Court? No. whatever may be the narrative which are being created by the judges sitting in the Supreme Court now, but they will not dare to start an organization started by any of the judges inside the premises of a Supreme Court. Our CJ will also not dare to. CJ, though he is saying that there is no absolute women, there are no absolute female, these type of comments are being done, and the day before yesterday, one another judge just made a typical strange comment. Will it become prejudice? I don't know. Subjudice? I don't know. But the justice has made against Patanjali group of that Ayurvedic and also that company. They have made, I will rip off you. How dare a judge is making that comment? Rip off Patanjali as a whole, or Patanjali's officials as a whole. Even though they will not dare to start their own organization in the society. But in 1784, when Asiatic Society was formed, it was inside the premises, inside the courtroom, it was started. In the courtroom. Two purposes were there. In order to give a message to the English people who are here, so this is an official one. Second, to maintain the secrecy of the work which are going on under the banner of Asiatic Society. Another point I would like to say. This Asiatic Society, really it is mentioned by none other than William Jones himself. I am quoting him. The bounds of investigations will be the geographical limits of Asia, and within these limits it inquires, and these inquiries will be extended to whatever is performed by man or produced by nature. Literature, language, culture, civilization, everything will be learned, studied. My question is whether you are saying that no non-Englishman was capable enough to give inputs or conduct studies about the language of Bharat, about the culture of Asia. Are you saying so? Why I am saying, for long 44 years, till 1828, 1784 Asiatic Society was formed, 1828 only they allowed a non-Englishman to enter into that Asiatic Society. Why I am saying this Asiatic Society, whenever we are teaching or learning or something about Bharat, we used to say with high regards about William Jones. So, एशियाटिक सोसाइटी सब कुछ किया है. एशियाटिक सोसाइटी के वजह से वी लर्न व्हाट भारत इज, व्हाट आवर कल्चर इज. On the basis of that only we have translated our Vedas and everything. They conducted all studies. What all are the differences in between the different societies of Bharat? Caste differences, color differences, nasal index differences. How they can divide Bharat into different groups. That was the sole aim. We cannot blame them because they came here to rule us. In order to maintain, in order to continue their rule till the Kalpanda, they want to rule us forever. For that purpose, they want to weaken our society, divide our society, make lot of Bharat inside our Bharat. For that purpose, they conducted these studies and made all pakka authentic records with all source materials. Several hundreds of English researchers fully devoted their life for that. William Jones, with his inspiration, anthropological studies were started. From his studies and with the Asiatic Society studies and study material, Macaulay was inspired to start the English education system. And also, Dietrich Brandis, another English officer, he was inspired to brought forest law. See, I have already mentioned about this forest dwellers and city dwellers, how we were all together in order to create the problem inside the forest, in order to restrict the movement of the poor forest dwellers. See, forest dwellers used to cultivate in different places in different years. They will not stick on to particular, we only, this so-called progressive educated, English educated people only ruin the bhumi. The tribal people will not ruin it. They will cultivate once in one place and then move to another place for the next years. Because continuously cultivating at a particular area will destroy, will kill the mati, the soil. That is their concern. But through forest road, they have restricted their movement. Just like fishes were being restricted from swimming inside the samudra. Tribal people are that related to the movements, constantly moving. They are restricted to some areas. Their rights were being taken away. And also the sannyasis who are conducting their tapasya inside the forest were caught like thieves. Agriculture law was brought. History is being started. Another officer, James Mill, was asked to write the history of Bharat. Bharat's history was written by him. And he has claimed very, with all government ahankara, he made a comment and wrote in the introduction of his book, The History of British India, which was published in 1870. But another thing you have to keep it in mind, he started writing that book in 1806. He never completed it within 1 month. Just a lot of authors from our clan are doing nowadays, publishing 10 or 12 books in 1 year itself. No research, no study and everything. But he started in 1806 and completed it in 1817. That means more than 11 months he took to complete that small book. Small book I will have to. But in that introduction he said that Mill noted that he had never been to India and was unable to speak any Indian languages, though he claimed that it improved the work's moral objective. He has improved it because it was objective. What is the qualification? He never came to Bharat and also he don't know not even a single language of Bharat. His mind was not corrupted with the stupid your Bharatiya languages and the seals of Bharat. Bharat geography, the sacred geography has not at all corrupted him. That's why he wrote the history on the basis of the studies which were made earlier by his co-officers and others. So, then English education system, through which the whole education system of Bharat, which once Mahatma Gandhiji has appreciated, congratulated in that way that it was a beautiful tree. Bharat's education system was a beautiful tree. It was cruelly uprooted by the English people on the basis of this English education system. So, Criminal Act, through these studies, research, intellectual studies, and on the basis textbooks were made, on the basis of that education system was converted, on the basis of that they destructed our village schools, our Sanskrit education and everything, and later on they came out with so many other judiciary methods. They have divided us into many groups. Through census, they have created a hierarchy of caste. See, in the social life, Bharat has never a hierarchical caste system. But through census, they created it. So, I don't want to go much into that, into details into that. Another rule they brought in that is very interesting. That's why I'm saying many of you might be knowing that is the Dramatic Theatre Performance Act. See, they came here and found out that different types of artistic performance, dance performance, in each and every village has got, you know, in Andhra also, how many types of dances are here. So, in order to block, in order to stop, they came out with a strange conclusion that many of the dances of Bharatiyas are erotic, raising sensual feeling in them. So, according to the Victorian morality, the stupid Victorian morality, you know what is English people's morality, but they are saying it is arousing the feeling among the people who are seeing it, so ban it. Kerala's Mohiniyattam was banned. Manipur's Manipuri dance was banned. Here also many of your dance performance theater were all banned. Kuchipudi was banned. They don't know the Navarasas. They are not aware about the Navarasas. So, inner rasa, Sringara is also a rasa. It's a part of our life. So, when it is being practiced by an artist and being performed in a beautiful way, if some feeling has been aroused among the seer's audience, that is the main, certificate for that artist. See, in Kerala's Kathakali, there is one particular moment in which for Pandavas, this that Nagari, that Raja Mahal was being made, and the main architect of that Raja Mahal, the palace which has been created, Arakillam, wax palace. And in that so many wooden materials are being used. So the main architect is a character in one Kathakali. And he's known as, he's a carpenter. You know, carpenter is known as Achari in Malayalam Bhasha. Very good and many performance in which this Ashari he go to the forest and seeing all the trees. Forest means on the stage there is no forest. Through his actions, his Angya, Vikshepa, he is showing the forest, different types of trees, and at last he found out a very good tree to make the doors and everything, and he started cutting it. It's all actions. Cutting it very carefully, and one gentleman from England was sitting in front of it, front of the performance. And at last he cut, end mein aa gaya. Then he just pushed it, and it fell down, and that poor Englishman stood up crying and running away. He was feeling that that vriksha is falling on his face. The point is, that is the performance level of our arts, our drama, our theatre and everything. That has been banned. In every place, in Kerala, there was a strong struggle under the leadership of great Kavi Vallathol Narayana Menon to reinstate Mohiniyattam. As far as Manipuri dance is concerned, none other than Rabindranath Tagore came before and made Manipuri dance a topic in his Shantiniketan University. All things were made. So anyway, in this their effort, they have created so many narratives. One was Bharat was not a nation. Bharat was never a nation. It is not a Rashtra. It is a reasoned phenomenon. Formerly, it was divided into so many parts. Bharat was a non-existing entity. This is one narrative. You may be hearing these type of narratives from our political leaders also, especially in the south, Tamil Nadu and everywhere, those who are trying to cut south from north, they are raising the very narrative created by the English persons to defeat us. It is still going on. That's a dangerous narrative. Hindu is not at all a cultural term or a spiritual term, and Hindu is same as any other religion as Islam, or they are comparing Hindu with that. They are not considering Hindu is related to nation, Rashtra. Yes, there. Jati differences, Aridravida concept, Bhasha differences. All these narratives were made by them, and that is still in place. It is still influencing us. So, another matter which has already been mentioned, that Islamic fundamentalists, they are also, through their attacks, nowadays they are joining hands with this English missionary narratives, and they are also creating their own typical some narratives. That is one thing. It is very strange and interesting. Nowadays, through the medieval history writers, they are trying to portray themselves as the harbingers of light in Bharat. They brought light to Bharat. So when history was made, there are three types of history period, that is ancient period, medieval period and modern period. What is the speciality of the ancient period? In West, the ancient period was Dark Age. So here also James Miller's very much specifically mentioned about the that era was darker. That belongs to whom? Hindus. So Hindu age was a dark age. That was the ancient age. What is the medieval age? Medieval age is an era of synthesis. It is transformation era. Who brought that transformation? That's why I use the term harbingers of light. The Islamic people brought the change. Why they brought change? They were invited by Hindus. The so-called backward community Hindus, because of you Brahmins' atrocities, suppression. In order to save themselves from the Brahmanical hegemony, the backward community people sent invitation to the Mughal or Muslim leaders outside. They came here to save the backward community, Dalits. That's it. And through their Urdu, through their Persian, their poem, their Vastu Shilpa, they taught us how to construct even houses. They taught us how to dress properly. These are, I am not just exaggerating. You can find it in between lines in the so-called history books of the medieval era. Many of the people are still believing in that. That's why recently all the political parties except one or two, all are after the Islamic vote. They are talking very same thing. How can you say that Islam is attacked? They came here to save us. In their intellectual so-called intellect, कितने मात्रा में उनके पीछे में है, I don't know. I have got strong doubt about that. Rahul Gandhi and all are top intellectuals. So they used to say that how can you say Islam has made all sorts of attacks here in this Bharat? They have tried to create. So their narratives, their attacks are also there. What is their ideological base? What is the Westerners' ideological base? We have to learn it properly. We have to study about it. Then only we can counter it. Major two forces that also has been mentioned by Girdharji, just the narrative building exercise may, that one is cultural Marxism. Cultural Marxism. Someone are saying that it is an oxymoron. If there is culture, there cannot be Marxism with it. If Marxists are there, they haven't got any culture. But they try to club this culture with Marxism. In China also, it was a cultural revolution. What is the cultural revolution? Killing teachers by students. That is the thousands of flowers bloom. Teachers are to be killed by the students because they are Varga Shatrus, they are class enemies. They are Prati Lomakari. That is why in that way they have tried to create. And also the people who raised the nasty slogan in one of the premier institution of Bharat, that Bharat tere tukde honge, inshallah, inshallah. भारत के बर्बादी तक जंग रहेंगे, भारत का सत्यानाश, ये हमारा लक्ष्य। कहाँ हुआ आपको मालूम है? Yes, it was in JNU and it has been replicated in your Hyderabad Central University also. But all those programs are being given the name cultural event. What is the relationship between culture and these type of atrocities against this nation? So we have to study about this term cultural Marxism. What they are trying to bring. What is the actual basis? I don't know whether Girdharji has mentioned it or not. See, classical Marxism. Again the problem is there. Marxism and classical. There is no class for Marxism. But still, for understanding, we have to use that term. Classical Marxism lost its steam. It is not able to attract the people. It has failed, utter failure. Stalinism has conquered communism. So at that point of time, Gramsci and others, they thought about put this communism wine in a new bottle. In simple term for cultural Marxism is that. For that created new theories. They have tried to attract new constituency towards communism. That is students and thinkers and cultural leaders. For that purpose they have worked. Among youngsters they have started these type of narratives. What all are they? They have said YOLO, among students, they try to create such a meaning. YOLO. You only live for once. Why you are thinking about culture and civilization and all? At last you are going to live only for one life. Just enjoy, man. That is YOLO. You only live for once. Another thing, my space, my right. Who the hell you are to intervene into that? Whom it is being questioned? To his father. Father hasn't got the right to intervene into his space. It is his space or her space. They can do whatever nasty things inside even metro trains. Inside even metro trains. So that is the cultural Marxism or wokeism, and it is being turning into a new nasty phenomenon. To give impetus to it, many of the MNC, multinational companies have started advertising this type of behavior. Recently, one coffee company has made an advertisement through a video there in which they have made a hashtag. It all starts with your name. Arpit became Arpita. I don't want to explain much about it. On a fine morning, one Arpit young man, he thought that he is good. So he conducted the surgery, and his father and mother are coming to see Arpit, but they are seeing Arpita. But A has been added to it, and it was a Starbucks stall. In the end, there is an announcement by a girl waitress. Waitress is a girl. It's okay. Waitress, she is announcing that Arpita ke liye 3 cold coffee. Arpita ke liye 3 cold coffee. So I don't want to explain much about that. Time is also there. I want to go. You may not want to go, but I want to go. See, these type of announcement, these type of advertisement. Recently, I saw an advertisement for a two-wheeler. A two-wheeler advertisement. Two-wheeler was placed, a modern two-wheeler was placed over a chattan, a mountain, top of a mountain. One side it was a deep garta. On the side of that two-wheeler, a boy and girl, an young man and young girl. Boy was in his full pants and dress. Generally, poor girls were not allowed to dress properly in this type of advertisement. She was there. Okay. What is the one-liner there? Stop saving, start driving. Stop saving, start driving. What is the main strength of Bharat's economy? Our traditional economy has saved us from the recession, which has shaken the whole world. We were not affected. Why? Our traditional saving tendency of family, our mothers and everywhere. And these Western countries who are run by the global market forces, they are creating this type of feeling among the people. Stop saving. Saving is not necessary. What are you to do? You have to drive. उस माउंटेन के ऊपर से ड्राइव किया है तो कहाँ जाएगा वो गर्त में हो जाएगा. That's it. How these global market forces are influencing people, even so-called Hindu spiritual organizations even. I don't want to mince my words. Hindu spiritual organizations. Some years back, one of the internationally acclaimed spiritual organizations conducted a Gita chanting competition. For that Gita chanting competition, they made an advertisement, and in that advertisement, it was written, "Chant Gita, land America." And the first prize milne wale bachche ko, they are giving that inspiration, instigation to go to America. That's why we are also thinking, what is our true mukti kahan milte hai aajkal? वो अमेरिका में मिलते हैं. गीता क्यों पढ़ते हैं? Why you are learning? Why you are reading Gita? Ultimately, we want our spiritual emancipation. But these guys are saying, not only them, the Hindu spiritual organization is saying, chant Gita, land America. At that time, strangely, Clinton was the president. Beautiful. You have to go there and Clinton के साथ बैठना, Clinton के ऑफिस भी देखना, क्या क्या हुआ है, ये सब पढ़ना, ये सब आपको मिलेगा. That's it. So these type of narratives through and serials के बाद बताया how they are trying to divide the families. They are trying. I'm not going to speak odds. Don't worry. Anyway, so these type of narratives have to be, and the background of all these things, the philosophy, In a proper way, we have to learn, study how these narratives are being made by them, and we have to face it head on. That's why I have started from that decision of Sangha. That is not a decision recently taken. Balasaheb Devarasi used to say that there shall not be any question remain unanswered, raised against Hindutva or Bharat. There shall not be any question. So in that way, this narrative war which has been unleashed by these divisive forces, anti-Bharat forces, are to be analyzed properly, understood properly, and we have to create our own real narratives, real things. Without understanding the enemy, no one can win a war. The art of war, in the art of war, it has been clearly mentioned that understanding our own strength, no, that is not sufficient. You may win or not win. If you are not understanding the enemy's strength, it is sure that you are going to fail. It is sure, 100% sure. So we must understand their way, their functioning, and in that way it is to be counted. For that purpose, the educational system, our curriculum, our textbook, teaching methods, teachers' habits, so many things are there to be done. They can be defeated only through our strong scientific civilizational methods. We have to be pakka in our culture, our civilization, and everything. Through that only. We have to prove that this is the scientific method. We have to prove we have learned the whole world in a proper way. We have to put before them how our science was improved in the earlier periods. How we have found out zinc, how we have created zinc. Even the modern day scientists were also not able to find out how zinc was produced in Bharat. How Loha Stamba was being created in Bharat. How Karikala Chola has constructed the great stone dam in Tiruchirappalli, Kallanai in Tiruchirappalli, which is still intact after 1850 years. It is still intact and functioning and giving water to all that delta area for all. It is there. This is our scientific marvel. And our Bharata, Uttaram yat samudrasya himadre chaiva dakshinam varshantat bharatam nama bharati yatra santati. Padma Purana, Vishnu Purana has said it very. Kitne saal pehle bataya? We are one. Himalayam samarabhya yavad Hindu sarovaram tam devanarmitam desham Hindusthanam pratyakshati. Our contours, our cultural as well as the geographical contours has been clearly defined and mentioned in our ancient books. All these aspects are to be studied well and put before the new generation. YOLO is not a clear, real message for any youngster. We have got life. We had it. We will have it also. And also, if at all there is no life afterwards, we have to live our life properly, morally, spiritually, culturally. Then only you will become a true man, true woman. These aspects have to be taught to our public, our generations. That is, actually, these. What I tried to put before you, I think some parts I have mentioned. Paucity of time is there. This subject is a vast subject, and I would like to request the Karyakartas of Rajamandri Samalochana to conduct this type of small discussion in our Adhyayana Kendra and create some contents also to distribute among the public also. So it is necessary to leave us to avoid that inevitable that has been Benocria said, that we shall not go towards that psychic destruction. We have to say ourselves. Namaskar, Vande Mataram.